fandom friends! Today we are going to jump straight into a video idea that one of you actually had. Shout out to Zane, if I'm saying that correctly, for suggesting that I make this video, which is going to be ranking all of the anime that I have seen currently. I believe I started watching anime around 2021-ish, so it's been about 4 or 5-ish years that I've been watching anime. So I still consider myself a kind of noob to this world, a little baby that has not seen the wonders, the true beauty of all the amazing animes that I know are out there and that I know are super popular and loved. So before jumping into exactly ranking all of the animes that I have seen, I just wanted to kind of give a forewarning that of course my opinions are probably going to be different than yours. Maybe some are going to be the same and that's awesome, but even if they aren't, that's still okay. And if I happen to not like an anime that you really like, or if I really like an anime that you don't really like, that is okay. We're not gonna fight about it. We're not gonna argue about it. This is literally just a fun video that I am going to be doing to get all of my thoughts out about all of the anime that I've currently seen up until this point. Now, that being said, I would love to hear all of your thoughts in the comments in a very respectful way, all of your favorite animes, or if you wanted to give me some that you would rank as kind of your favorites or least favorites. I would love to hear from you as always. And also, I would love to hear if there's any anime that you suggest I watch, because actually, this whole idea kind of got sparked by a TikTok video that I posted a few weeks ago, which was basically just this silly video kind of just showing really quickly all of the anime that I've seen, depicting that I try not to just watch the super popular animes, that I try to watch some of the shorter animes, or the animes that don't have a manga that go with it, or some that go unnoticed that people don't really know about. And so I try to get a good variety of anime, but of course this list does have a lot of the kind of quote-unquote popular ones as well, because those ones generally just got me into watching anime because they're good for a reason. But with all of that being said, I have put all of my animes that I have watched into a tier ranking list, and I'm gonna be ranking them one by one in the order that I watched them. So not only will you get to see where I rank them, but also kind of the order in which I watched the anime, which is kind of cool to see just the order of operations here. Of course, there are a ton of different reasons that literally would take me hours to completely flush out exactly why I'm ranking anime the way that I do. And so I'm going to be doing this in a very general kind of way. I have broken a tier list into 5 categories, with the top category being the top tier, beyond perfect. This is my favorite anime of all time, things like that. These are of course going to be the animes that I am going to highly recommend to everybody and anybody, because I think that they have a really beautiful, magnificent storyline, etc. The next category is the highly enjoy and recommend. They are super, super high on my list, but not like super, super top tier. Next is just neutral. I feel for this anime, I enjoy it, but I also like could go without seeing it. It's just kind of like one of those neutral things. Next down is it was fine, but it wasn't for me. I already know I'm gonna be putting animes in this category that are loved, so I'm a little nervous to get to that. And then there's just the hate, and I'm sorry. Thankfully, that's not a lot of anime, because I don't just straight out hate things typically. There's a lot of reasons for like why. So again, this is going to be a very general ranking. I'm not gonna sit here and talk about all of these animes for like hours. I'm gonna try to be as concise as possible, just making a quick list to organize all my thoughts for all of the anime that I have seen thus far. So let's jump straight in. This is kind of weird, but the very first anime that I ever saw is Star Wars Visions. A lot of people think that Visions Star Wars is very odd for it to be considered anime. However, that was kind of the point in making this whole new media of Star Wars, is that we really wanted to get a Japanese kind of perspective on this and to see what kind of stories they could bring to the table to this Star Wars world. And so obviously all of these episodes are made from different people and different directing and producing companies in Japan. So So Visions, I really like it. I'm gonna put it in neutral. I actually still have yet to see the newest season, which is season 3. My favorite episode of Visions so far is The Village Bride, which is in season 1, and I absolutely love that episode. This is the anime that really just kind of got me into anime and made me want to continue watching things like it, is because the animation is just so unique and beautiful, and obviously with every new episode that we get of Visions, it's a completely different Japanese style that we're being shown. And so I really appreciated this story, but again, I don't think this is really an anime for anybody. I am a huge Star Wars fan, and so naturally, I just really enjoyed this show. Next up is Demon Slayer. Now, if you know me, you know that Demon Slayer is one of my favorite animes. I'm gonna say it is my second favorite anime of all time currently. It was number 1 for like 3-4 years, but this year it has changed, which I will get there later. You probably already know what number 1 is for me. If you know me, you know. But I have so many good things to say about Demon Slayer. It is just top tier for me. I know a lot of people will say it's a very simple story, and it is. I'm not gonna deny that, but the reason why I love Demon Slayer so much is because of all the complexity that surrounds specifically the demons, and for this to be one of the very first anime that I saw and it just instantly captured my heart and I wanted to see more things like it, it's just stuck with my heart in a very special way, which I love. Next up is Spy Family, an iconic one. I'm gonna put in highly enjoy and recommend. This is just a really fun story for like anybody, and again, with it being one of the first anime that I ever saw, it holds a very special place in my heart. I have been continuing to enjoy all of the seasons that have been coming out afterward, the movie, everything about Spy Family. Next up is Death Note. Oh my goodness, if you know me, you know that I am a huge fan of Death Note. This one, again, has been in my top 5 forever now. I remember watching Death Note for the first time, and since then I've watched it a few times. But the first time was just like awe-inspiring, earth-shattering, this whole mystery behind what's going on with compelling characters and told within a story that's pretty short for being such an amazing and highly respected anime. It just really captured my heart in a really unique way, and there's not many other animes that I feel like can live up to Death Note the way that it does and the way that I feel towards it. So Death Note is high up on my list. Next up is another really special place in my heart is, of course, My Hero Academia. The really only bad thing I can think of for My Hero is the super strange fandom that's associated with it, but that is not to say everyone is like that in the fandom, but I am choosing to focus more on the positive aspects of it, which is the story and the characters and the whole drive of the whole everything involving this story. The way that it's coming to an end recently is destroying me and making me just realize and remember how much I truly adore this story. So for all of those reasons, My Hero has to be top tier, just perfection. Next up is Yuri on Ice. This one is gonna be neutral for me. I do remember this being kind of one of the first animes that I saw where I was like, okay, like that was really good, but it wasn't like over the top special in any way. I will say that the intro song is like my favorite ever. I love it so much. I think that the art was also very beautiful in this anime, depicting, of course, figure skating and the competitions and everything. It was one that I really enjoyed, got through super fast, and also just an iconic one. Next up is our first movie, which I did want to include in this list because they're technically anime. This is Howl's Moving Castle, and please don't hate me for this. I'm really scared. It was fine, but it was not for me. I loved it. It was a great story, but for me personally, I am not a kind of romantic person. I don't really enjoy watching romance-themed stories, But that's not all. It's also because this movie just left too many questions unanswered, and by the end of the movie I was like, what was even the point of like all of these different things? Like, I did not get an answer to like anything, and that's just the way I feel. So I'm sorry if you really like this movie. I know a lot of people really do, but it just wasn't for me, and that's okay. Next up is my love story with Yamada-kun. This is gonna look so bad because I literally just said I don't enjoy romance things. I highly enjoy and recommend my love story with Yamada-kun. There's currently only one season out, and from that one season alone, I feel like it doesn't really delve too deep into like extreme romantic stuff. It's more just like wholesome and sweet, and I also have a bit of a bias because the main character is voiced by one of my favorite voice actors, Uchiyama-san, so I do understand there is heavy bias here, but I do really love the story. I really enjoyed the kind of video game to real life aspect of it, to where we could see the real life everything going on like a normal story, but we also got to jump into this video game that was kind of this avatar version of our main characters that we got to kind of transition back and forth between. So I feel like that was also very unique for an anime. Next up is Attack on Titan. I am very neutral about Attack on Titan, and I know that's gonna make people probably very upset. I really liked Attack on Titan the first time I watched it through, and I had a really great experience with one of my best friends. We watched it together, and it was just a great experience doing that and trying to predict what was to come and seeing, you know, the overall messages of AOT and the masterpiece behind it all. And I know that if I watched it again, I would see all of the foreshadowing and all of the details I know I for sure missed the first time around. However, I am not a big person on like violence and world destruction, and I know that the story was trying to preach peace, but it did it in a way that just wasn't totally for me. I know I can respect the way that the story went, and I can respect it for being definitely a masterpiece in its own way. However, there is another anime that I watched that kind of is along the same kind of messaging as Attack on Titan, and I'm gonna get to it later, but I think that it did such a better job, at least for me personally, and the way that I would like to see a story shown. And I'm gonna talk about that later, so stick around for that. But yeah, AOT is very neutral for me. That's definitely an anime opinion that I don't really like putting out there because I know people probably are going to highly judge me for that, but oh well. Next up is JJK. Oh my gosh. Okay, it was fine. It was not for me. I'm not gonna linger on this one too much because I know people love JJK, Jujutsu Kaisen, and that is great for you, but it was just not for me. I also have not obviously finished the whole story because it's not fully animated yet, and I honestly don't have any desire to read the manga as of now. There's just too many unanswered questions. In my opinion, they do not fully delve deeper into character development besides like Gojo and Geto, and I would love to see more of other characters that just kind of got breezed past, and I feel like that's not really good storytelling, at least from my perspective. I much prefer stories like My Hero Academia or Demon Slayer that really delve into developing characters that help then drive the story forward. JJK is just a little bit too all over the place for me. A lot of the kind of magic system too doesn't always fully make sense, and it kind of contradicts itself, so it's just not for me, but that's okay. Next up is the case study of Vanitas. Again, it was fine, but it wasn't for me. Like I said earlier, I'm not really into the whole like romantic stuff, and this one had romance in it, but kind of in a different way that relates to vampires that was just kind of like uncomfortable to watch and not really something that I would like to continue watching in a season 2 if season 2 eventually came out. I really only cared for one character in this, and it's because I felt very bad for them. I also cosplay them, and they were toward the end of season 1, so I'd kind of be intrigued to see kind of what happened with them. If you're wondering and have seen the case study of Vanitas, I am talking about the character Mikado, and that was really all I enjoyed about this story. It just wasn't really anything special for me, and I also watched this anime in one day, which I do not not like binge watching things. I feel like if I binge watch things, it's a high probability that I'm not gonna like it because I don't really have time to fully process. I tend to forget the little details. I feel like I can't fully process to the extent of being able to predict what's gonna happen, so it takes away the fun of the story. So that is not just the story in itself that I did not enjoy, it was also just kind of the atmosphere of watching it in a binging form. But that's, again, just me personally. Next up is Soul Eater. I am gonna say highly enjoy and recommend. This is the anime, of course. I have not fully read the manga, which I know that the manga has a lot more in it that the anime did not cover. So that's something I still have to do. But from what the anime showed, I did generally very much enjoy this. I think that the end of the anime could have been a bit better, but I didn't like hate it by any means. So there's definitely more potential for this story, I think, in kind of the anime format. But obviously that's something we didn't get since it ended kind of before the manga did. So kind of oh well there, but I did really highly enjoy this anime. Next up is Blue Lock. I am gonna put that in neutral. I'm not really a sports person. I don't really watch like any sports anime. Like really it's Yuri on Ice, Blue Lock, and then like one other which I'll get to later. I even watched the first couple episodes of Haikyuu and I didn't really enjoy that either, but again, that's just kind of a sports theme for me, is that I feel like sports animes or just sports stories in general just are always the same. I think that the difference with Blue Lock that kind of stepped it up for me was the kind of competition atmosphere of like who's gonna move on forward and who's gonna be eliminated. I felt like it was more of kind of like a game show type fashion, if that makes any sense. But overall, Blue Lock is very neutral for me. Next up is Princess Mononoke. I am gonna put that in highly enjoy and recommend. If you know me at all, you know that I love nature and animals. I work with animals and have for many years. And if you know anything about this movie, it's that it revolves around protecting nature and the beauty of life and everything that is involved there. So again, highly recommend for this movie. I really, really liked this one so much more than Howl's Moving Castle. Next up is Your Lie in April. I'm gonna put that at highly enjoy and recommend. Oh my gosh, what a tearjerker this anime was. This is another one that I watched in one day, but I didn't feel as overwhelmed with this one because it was so much shorter than the case study of Vanitas. This one obviously also isn't totally fantastical. It's more set in the real world with a very real situation that could happen, however devastating that is. And so I feel like I could really understand the story so much better and relate to it so much more on an emotional level as well. So definitely highly recommend. This one was a super easy anime to get through up until, I guess, the end, which I'm not gonna talk about. Next up is Buddy Daddies. I highly enjoy and recommend this anime. This is an anime original story, kind of similar to Spy Family, but make it gay. I love this story so much. Again, one of the main characters is voiced by Uchiyama-san, my favorite voice actor, my favorite Japanese voice actor. So again, I will admit I do have some bias there, but this story was literally just so much fun, super fast and easy to get through. Highly recommend. Next up is Solo Leveling. I know people like this anime and I am happy for you. I really enjoyed it as well. However, I am gonna put it a step down at neutral. I have only seen season 1 up until this point. I know I need to catch up to season 2, which again is something I'm gonna do here very shortly, hopefully. But I really did enjoy Solo Leveling. However, it just wasn't my favorite thing in the world. I really enjoyed the whole aspect of kind of video games again, where you kind of go into this dungeon and have to fight a boss and all of that. I think at times I was a little bit confused as to where the direction was going and certain things related to that. But again, I just have to keep watching the story, I guess. But yeah, I felt very neutral about this, but I am planning on continuing it. Next up is Frieren. This one is one that I highly enjoy and recommend anybody see. This is literally a perfect example of just a perfect fantasy story. And something I love, love, love so much about Frieren is that it really puts into perspective how short a human life is. And when your main character is an elf, this kind of immortal being, it really helps put into perspective how short of a life humans have and kind of the beauty of it, however tragic. And it really just follows this gorgeous story of this elf really coming to terms with that and loving humans, but then watching them pass and having to move on from that and cope with that. And it's just told in such a beautiful kind of fantasy and magic environment that I really, really enjoy. I am so, so excited to see season 2 in January. I will for sure be eating that up as soon as it comes out. Next up is Dororo. So I'm gonna put this one in neutral. I really like Dororo. However, kind of along the same lines of the case study of Vanitas, I watched this one super quick. I wanna say I watched it within 2 settings with some friends. We got together and we did like a binge watching thing for it. And we also watched the first part very far apart from the second part. And so by the time that I got to the second part, I had kind of forgotten a lot of the kind of details of the whole first part. And so I feel like that's what kind of made it more neutral for me, is that I wasn't fully invested. Also, along with the binge watching thing, even though the atmosphere of being with my friends and enjoying the story for what it is was really great, I kind of wish that those time intervals were put more together and maybe that I didn't binge watch it as fast as I did. But again, this is another kind of historical story that had a spin on more modern things that was done in a very interesting way. So I'm gonna leave that at neutral. Next up is Black Clover. Oh my gosh, this one is top tier for me, like beyond perfect. I am so looking forward to, I guess technically season 2, which is coming out. It was supposed to come out. I have no idea when because the time keeps changing. If you know, you know. My poor Black Clover fans. But oh my gosh, this is actually one that I sort of binge watched, but it was because I was sick. I was literally in bed for probably a month. I don't know what happened to me, but I was very, very sick. I could not get out of bed. And so what I did was watch Black Clover with my partner, and we absolutely fell in love with this fantasy world and the characters. Again, with the development of characters like My Hero Academia or Demon Slayer, just absolute top tier. And I am so, so, so excited to see where the story goes. It also left off on a cliffhanger, which I'm really upset about. So I either need to read the manga or like wait 1,000 years for season 2 to come out, because at this point, I don't know what's happening. Next up is Kaiju number 8. This is either going in hate or it was fine. I'm gonna put it in it was fine because I did generally enjoy the characters and a lot of the little details of the story. However, this is just not a story for me. I don't really like stories that involve like super heavy like violence, weapons, especially the weapons that they use in this. I am really not a fan of, and just generally just don't enjoy watching, and so that takes me kind of out of the story a lot. I have only seen season 1, so I've not seen season 2 yet. However, I don't really think it got a lot of the same kind of praise and uplift that season 1 did, so I don't really know if it fell off or what happened there. I know people do love Kaiju number 8, so I'm sorry if I'm hurting your feelings. It was just not an anime for me, but that's okay, because maybe it is for you. We have made it to Vinland Saga. I'm just gonna put this at like number 1 because, oh my gosh, Vinland Saga. So going back to, oh my gosh, I'm gonna get emotional. I'm surprised I'm not wearing a Vinland Saga shirt right now. I like live in Vinland Saga shirts. Ugh. Anyway, I watched Vinland Saga for the first time late last year, and it did not immediately capture my heart. I actually did not like season 1 very much. I was like, oh, this is too violent for me, blah, blah, blah. And then I got to the end and I was like, oh, I was not expecting that. And then I watched season 2 and I was like, oh, I like season 2 way better than season 1. I see the way this story is going. And then I read the manga and I was like, oh, this just captured my heart. Vinland Saga is my favorite anime, I'm very proud to say. I have a whole shrine over there that you've probably seen in my videos. And yeah, I could blab about Vinland Saga forever, which I'm not gonna do because we're gonna move forward in this video. However, I did want to bring it back to the Attack on Titan conversation I was talking about earlier. This story, very similar to Attack on Titan, is a story about shifting violence to peace. Now, the way that Vinland Saga does it, I think is so much more realistic and beautiful, and people from like real life can really relate to it so much more than Attack on Titan, where there's obviously just titans, these like giants that are running around, and I do mean running. If you know, you know. But my gosh, we need more stories like Vinland Saga. I truly cannot say enough good things about this story, and I am so extremely excited for seasons 3 and 4 to be animated, which gosh, thinking about that, it'll probably be within like the next 10 years that this anime finishes, since they take a bit longer, but that's okay, because I'm here to wait, and I will, for this masterpiece. But gosh, Vinland Saga is number 1 for me, and I honestly hope it will always be number 1, because it is just such a beautiful story that I wish everyone around the world could see. We need more peace in this world. Next up is Hunter x Hunter. I am also gonna put that in top tier, beyond perfect. Gosh, what a time last year. I watched Vinland Saga, Black Clover, and Hunter x Hunter basically back to back, and what a joy that was. Like, what masterpieces of anime to consume one after the other. Hunter x Hunter was like perfection. I love how unique it is compared to other animes. I love how every season felt like its own story, with the same characters yet new characters, and gosh, it was just amazing. Like, I want to rewatch it so bad. I want to see more come out, obviously once the author is recovered. I know that they have been sick. I do plan on reading the rest of the manga for Hunter x Hunter because I enjoyed it so much. But yeah, all good things to say about Hunter x Hunter. It is so good, so iconic, just masterpiece. Next up is Hell's Paradise. I am gonna say neutral for this one. There's a time I probably would have put it and it was fine, but not for me. However, I am very captivated by this whole kind of paradise vibe of the story. I think it serves to be a very interesting plot point, and I've heard that season 2, when it comes out, is supposedly going to really wrap the story up in a beautiful way, so I'm really kind of holding out hope for that, because I did enjoy season 1, but it wasn't like the most magnificent thing that I've ever seen, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, that one's pretty neutral for me. Next up is Ruby. I'm gonna put that at neutral as well. So I watched the original Ruby series, which I love. If that were an anime, it would be top tier beyond perfection, but that story is American made, whereas this Ruby story is just a 1 season thing as of now that kind of takes from that original content but putting it into an anime format. And I really did enjoy this season. However, it just didn't feel as like magical and put together as the original, but that's okay, kind of, because it did go down kind of a different path. But yeah, I feel very neutral toward this one. Next up is Full Metal Alchemist. Okay, so I cannot fairly rank this one because this is actually one that I dropped. And yes, I do mean Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, which I know people love. I know I'm probably gonna get hate for that, and I'm sorry, but I stopped about halfway through. I just could not do it. I do plan on going back and finishing it. My partner and I watched this one together, as we did most of these animes, and he thoroughly enjoyed this. Like, he loved it. He continued watching it after I just couldn't go on anymore. He wants me to continue on, but I just need some time, because when I watched this anime, it took off, like, I feel like years of my life. I was in such a slump because I did not want to watch any other anime after this. It just kind of ruined the taste of anime for me for, like, I'm not even kidding, like half a year. And I've been going through this for so long now, and I feel like the only thing that could uplift me was the manga of Vinland Saga coming out that I was reading every month. But gosh, this was just a really hard story for me to get through. But that's okay, because that's just my opinion. But moving on is Bungo Stray Dogs. I'm gonna put this one at neutral. I really liked this story. However, I think my main kind of gripe with it is that it was all over the place. There was like different villains kind of showing up randomly, and it didn't really have like a solid goal, in my opinion. I feel like the main character ended up not really being the main character at times, which was kind of where JJK kind of took the downfall for me as well. But I do still really enjoy Bungo Stray Dogs, the art style, the story, the fun characters, the vibes, all of that. So I also do really enjoy kind of the history behind it too, and how all the characters are based off of real life authors. I think that aspect is really interesting, and I'd love to learn more about that. Next up is To Be Hero X. I don't know if I should put this in top tier or highly enjoy and recommend, because only one season is out right now, so I don't really have the full like picture of the story like I do all of these ones that are in there, but I really enjoyed To Be Hero X. I think I'm gonna put this in highly recommend and enjoy, just because there's only one season right now, and this story could really go like literally any direction, and it's all dependent on what we think of these heroes in this story. This really put an interesting aspect on creating and formulating a storyline based on heroes that I have never seen before. The way that the general public can influence what a hero looks like and does, and their ranking and all of the above, was just insane to me, and how we as like people in real life can influence how the next season will be is like crazy to think about. So yeah, highly recommend. This one also has recency bias for me because I just watched it a few months ago and it's still like living rent free in my mind like every second. So yeah, I am highly anticipating more of this story because magnificent. It was so good, and I want more like right now. Next up is Free. So this one is one that I'm currently watching and have been for like half a year now. It's kind of a longer anime, and it's kind of, you know, slower, it's sports, all that. So I'm gonna put this one at neutral. So this one I have kind of more of a soft spot toward, because growing up I did competitive swimming. I've been a swimmer from a very young age. I love swimming. I feel very connected to the water. So for this to be a swim anime, it's just really cool for me to hear all of like the swim terminology, and to see the competitions, and to see the characters kind of fleshed out in a very different way than it was in Yuri on Ice and Blue Lock. So yeah, I'm highly enjoying Free so far. I just have to continue watching it. We only have a couple left. Next up is Tokyo Ghoul, and yeah, I'm sorry, I hated this anime like a lot, truthfully. Have only seen season 1, which was supposedly supposed to be the better season. I tried watching season 2 and I just could not do it, which I know is a popular opinion. Season 1 truly made me like horrified and disgusted by the last few episodes. All of the like scenes that our main character was going through just wasn't for me. Like watching that stuff like genuinely makes me sick, and after watching that just whole interaction with our main character in those last few episodes, if you know, you know, it like actually made me nauseous and sick for like a day or two, and I don't obviously want to be feeling that just from watching a storyline. I also feel like the main character was just like so basic, and like nobody cares. Like I did not care about him at all. Like I cared more for like the side characters, which is something that I generally do with a story, but like in this, the main character just felt so bland to me. I also know that the manga is supposed to be so much better than the anime, and I actually do have the manga behind me, and I do plan on giving that a try. And I'm hoping I like that so much more than the anime. So stay tuned for that, I guess. Next up is Erased. I'm gonna put that in highly enjoy and recommend. I really liked this anime, kind of along the similar lines to Death Note. As far as the reasoning, I just love a good mystery, and although I was able to kind of quickly predict where this story was going, it still had me on the edge of my seat, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I do think that this story was best to be short and not to be drawn out, so I really enjoyed this one and recommend it. It's a super quick anime to get through. Every episode you're on the edge of your seat, and every episode ends in a cliffhanger, so that was also really fun. Next up and last, this is the last anime that I have watched currently, and that is The Promised Neverland. I'm gonna put that in highly enjoy and recommend. I know that's an unpopular opinion for at least the anime for especially season 2, but I'm more talking about season 1 here, even though I did somewhat enjoy season 2, but as a whole, I really enjoyed this. I am also in the process of reading the manga, and I'm also really enjoying that. So to be continued for this story for me, however, I really love the characters, the mysterious and kind of horror-filled vibes of this story, and everything that it has to offer. That is going to wrap up my ranking. I feel like this was a very fair ranking and kind of where I'm sitting right now with my animes. I typically never talk about animes that I don't really enjoy or that I think more negatively about, or so these kind of bottom 6 right here, just because I never want to step on people's toes or start an argument or whatever. Again, if you like those animes, that is great for you. I'm happy, I respect you, good for you. And if you don't like something that I put higher, that is okay as well. Again, everybody has their own opinions, which is why I would love to hear from you after you've sat here and listened to me ramble on and on about all of these animes. Thank you again to Zane for recommending that I make this video. I hope you enjoyed, and let me know in the comments down below if there's any other videos that you would like me to do surrounding basically anything fandoms that you would love to see on my channel. Also, let me know if you have any questions about my ranking for all of the anime that I've watched so far, and I will see you next time for some more fandom fun. Bye!